For most of modern history, warships have meant crews, captains, and sailors working together aboard destroyers, carriers, and frigates. But today, something completely new has quietly entered the oceans. The United States Navy's Ghost Fleet, a growing armada of AI-driven autonomous warships that don't need a single person on board. These vessels don't ask for food, don't sleep, don't panic, and don't hesitate. They run on sensors, code, and advanced decision systems built to fight wars of the future. And now, for the first time, they're officially active. This is not science fiction. This is real. The U.S. Navy has begun deploying unmanned surface vessels across the Pacific, quietly integrating them with aircraft carriers, submarines, and strike groups. These vessels can operate for months without a crew, gather enemy intel, launch missiles, and coordinate attacks with human officers stationed thousands of miles away. Their existence is already reshaping how China, Russia, and Iran think about naval power. The idea began as an experiment. Small teams exploring whether AI and unmanned vessels could survive at sea, manage onboard systems, and follow mission orders without a bridge crew. The early trials were full of risks. How would they navigate storms? Could the software react quickly to threats? Would they collide with civilian ships? Yet every test pushed the concept forward. DARPA, the Office of Naval Research, and private defense tech companies began constructing prototypes with endurance measured in months and operating ranges measured in thousands of nautical miles. The Navy didn't rush to show them off. Instead, it tested the vessels during classified exercises, tracking how they handled surveillance, navigation, and data sharing alongside combat ships. The moment they proved they could complete missions without constant input from operators, the Navy's quiet project turned into a frontline priority. These vessels were given a name, Ghost Fleet. Once the prototypes proved reliable, the Navy moved to small-scale real-world integration. Ships like the Sea Hunter demonstrated how a vessel longer than a basketball court and fully unmanned could cross the Pacific on its own. Eventually, the Ghost Fleet Overlord program took over, modifying larger commercial hulls into combat-ready autonomous warships. Engineers installed advanced radar arrays, encrypted communications, optical sensors, thermal cameras, and AI command systems capable of real-time threat recognition. The goal wasn't just navigation, but participation in naval missions, reconnaissance, missile targeting, anti-submarine operations, and electronic warfare. The Navy slowly introduced them into live exercises with aircraft carriers and destroyers. Rather than announcing them publicly, they were slipped into patrol groups, quietly operating beyond the visible horizon. Commanders began to rely on them for scouting enemy movements, relaying data, and simulating strike operations. Now they've moved from experimental status to active deployment. Unlike standard warships, these autonomous vessels don't need bridges, crew quarters, or life support. The space saved is turned into fuel storage, missile tubes, sensors, or data centers. Their operations revolve around a core AI brain trained to interpret sonar, infrared, radar, and satellite data faster than human teams. Instead of unfolding charts or announcing positions, the Ghost Fleet uses layered autonomy. The vessels can avoid obstacles, change speed based on ocean traffic, and follow mission routes while remaining undetected. If communication is jammed, they don't stop. They follow preloaded instructions and update their course once contact resumes. When integrated with strike groups, a Ghost Fleet vessel can sail ahead of manned destroyers and act as the tripwire. If Chinese, Russian, or Iranian naval units approach, the AI watches silently. It can track targets, pass real-time intel to submarines and carrier-based aircraft, and even illuminate targets for long-range missile strikes without endangering a single crew member. Some Ghost Fleet ships are designed purely for surveillance, but newer models can be outfitted with vertical launch systems for Tomahawk cruise missiles or anti-ship weapons. The Navy has also begun testing containerized missile modules that sit on the deck of otherwise unarmed, unmanned vessels. This allows rapid conversion from scout ship to strike platform. In combat scenarios, the AI assists but doesn't act alone. Target engagement still requires human authorization through secure channels. However, the unmanned ships can lock targets, calculate firing solutions, and coordinate simultaneous salvos with other units. That cuts down decision time from minutes to seconds. Electronic warfare is another critical role. These ships can jam enemy radar, feed false signals, and run cyber intrusion tools while staying at standoff distances. Because they're uncrewed, commanders can take more aggressive risks with them than they ever would with human-crewed destroyers. The Navy doesn't plan for Ghost Fleet vessels to replace traditional ships, but to augment them. Aircraft carriers could use them as picket ships, stationed hundreds of miles ahead to track submarines or mimic the radar signature of larger vessels to confuse enemy targeting systems. Submarines can use unmanned ships as relay points or bait. A Ghost Fleet vessel sailing above could force enemy surface ships to reveal radar signatures while a submarine watches from the deep. The same applies in the air. Drones and P-8. Poseidon aircraft can coordinate with Ghost Fleet ships to triangulate threats. The U.S. Indo-Pacific. Command Indopacom has already tested these systems in the South China Sea during classified operations. One admiral said privately that the goal is to have AI warships attached to every carrier strike group, every expeditionary group, and every deterrence patrol. If that vision becomes reality, no manned fleet will ever operate alone again. The Chinese military is deeply concerned about the U.S. Ghost Fleet's ability to disrupt their surface operations. China has focused on building large crewed surface combatants, but now faces a U.S. system that can swarm, scout, and strike without risking sailors. Their state media has complained that the U.S. is polluting the seas with robotic attack vessels. Russia has tried to downplay the program. But their Black Sea experience with Ukrainian naval drones has proven how dangerous unmanned platforms can become. Iran, which has used fast attack boats for harassment, now faces vessels with no crews to intimidate or capture. Adversaries have begun investing in their own autonomous fleets, but they lack the satellite networks, AI training infrastructure, and naval integration the United States has been building for over a decade. Trials in the Pacific and the silent deployment phase, one of the most important developments, happened quietly. U.S. commanders confirmed that the Ghost Fleet is now part of active Pacific patrol routes. During exercises near Guam and Hawaii, these ships were tasked with tracking hostile submarine movements, monitoring airspace activity, and feeding strike data to destroyers and aircraft. They have also been used to simulate Chinese fleet maneuvers, helping U.S. planners test counterattack strategies. Every time they operate, the AI gathers new data and improves decision-making capabilities for future deployments. One officer described them as the perfect forward eyes and ears, never tired, never afraid, and always watching. The future battle space isn't expected to be dominated by huge fleets firing broadsides at each other. Instead, it'll be a contest of detection, deception, electromagnetic warfare, long-range missiles, underwater drones, and layered defenses. The Ghost Fleet fits that world perfectly. Imagine a swarm of unmanned vessels sailing for months through contested waters, updating satellite networks with every new signal they detect, launching loitering munitions, and forcing enemy carriers to waste weapons on empty ships. Each one could draw enemy attention, while real firepower waits far behind the horizon. In a future Taiwan conflict or Persian Gulf standoff, these AI warships could form the front wall of American sea power, scouting coastlines, testing air defenses, charting missile batteries, and launching decoys or real attacks depending on orders. Even if the first wave is lost, no crews go down with them, and the data gathered only improves the next generation. The age of crewed domination at sea isn't ending, but it's changing forever. The Ghost Fleet doesn't replace sailors. It extends their reach. It protects their lives. It opens strategic options that were previously impossible. In the next conflict, the first thing spotted near enemy waters may not be an aircraft carrier or destroyer. It may be a ship with no name, no crew, and no flag lights. It will move silently, scan quietly, and vanish if attacked. But its sensors, transmissions, and targeting data will flow straight to real crews positioned miles away. For America's rivals, that creates uncertainty. Who do you threaten if there's no one on board? What do you target when the enemy doesn't expose its main force? The Ghost Fleet is not just a weapon. It's a psychological disruption designed to fracture traditional war planning. And now that it's active, the world's navies have entered a new era whether they like it or not. If you found this deep dive into the Ghost Fleet eye-opening, there's a lot more coming. The AI arms race at sea has only begun, and every month reveals something even more advanced. Make sure you subscribe, drop a comment with the next military topic you want covered, and share this with someone who still thinks naval warfare is stuck in the past. The future of war doesn't have a crew, and it's already at sea.